This is Madhurika Mataji from Mayapur, the Kirtan Mela which happened. And her voice, of course, I think the way her Guru Maharaj Ji named her is Madhurika Devidasi. So she must be known for her voice. And it's so nice and transcendental to hear Mataji. And there's another Mataji next to her. Then so great. Hare Krishna. So a welcome one and all for our Shri Īśopaniṣad session. And it's all mercy of Srila Prabhupada Ji and the Guru Parampara. So let's pay our homage to the deities and then we shall resume our sessions. Feel free to join me for Mangalacharan. Jnana-timirandhasya Jnana-jana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Kamanam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathavitam Tam Sajivam Sadhvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhavitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavane Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Karmami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyastam Kirpal Sindhubhyayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Naraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Asadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Srila Prabhupada ki jai Srila Gurudev ki jai 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 Shri Radhesha Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for joining in. And we are doing Shri Īśopaniṣad. So the Bhakti Shastri course which Srila Prabhupada Ji put together. We have Bhagavad Gita. And then we have two other Grantha books, the scriptures from Raghunath Rupa Goswami Ji. So Rupa Goswami Ji was a direct disciple of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ji, and he's one of those Sharna Goswami, one of 6 Goswamis who established Vrindavan. Rupa Goswami Ji is probably the most prominent one. And he put together Nectar of Instruction and Nectar of Devotion books. So Nectar of Instruction, Updeshamrita, Updesha, the instructions for the devotees, and Nectar of Devotion. And this is called Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which is the ocean of devotion. And it lists a lot of things, along with many other very, very crucial things on bhakti. Rupa Goswamiji put together 64 aspects of bhakti, which we should or should not do. So there are 64 discrete points there. And hopefully, with Krishna's mercy, we will do that as well. But apart from Bhagavad Gita, Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion, the fourth book which Srila Prabhupada put together for Bhakti Shastri course is Shri Īśopaniṣad. So out of all the Upanishads, there are 10 main Upanishads. Out of those 10, Shri Īśopaniṣad is one of those. Hence, Prabhupada put Shri Īśopaniṣad. Shri Īśopaniṣad, as I said, is directly about the Ishwar. We have already been to, so we are nearly half of it. So it says invocation mantra, which we have done. Everything is perfect. Om Purnamada Purnamidam. Then everything belongs to Ishwar, Ishavasyam principle. And if we live with that principle, that we will live in harmony. If we won't live with that principle, we will live in disharmony. So that's what we have already seen. Then we have seen 4 to 8, the next segment, that Ishwar cannot be understood by material vision. We need the spiritual vision. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 11, we have seen Virat Rupa as well. And before Krishna showed that Rupa, Virat Rupa to Arjun, Krishna said, you won't able to see that Rupa, that form of mine with these material eyes. Hence, I give you the spiritual eyes. So, Drivya Dishti, that vision, spiritual vision was given, and that spiritual vision is also given by the Shastras, explained by Acharyas. So we get that spiritual vision when we get the wisdom from the Shastras and following the Acharyas' purpose. Right and wrong Vidya, and this is where we are. So we have seen number 9, 10, and we are on number 11. So we need to understand the knowledge for understanding. What will happen with the knowledge? We will understand how things work. And once we will understand, we will be able to do the right upasana. Because a lot of time when devotees pray and worship to Krishna, then sometimes ask questions. Prayers are very personal. Sometimes in COVID, if somebody lost someone, then somebody might ask that, oh God, why me? Why this happened to me? Then is it the right kind of upasana? And even if it is, then we get a reply back from Krishna. The way we get the reply back could be from a devotee, could be from our Guru Maharaj, could be from something we are reading in the Shastras, and it says that, I had that question in mind, and this text or this discussion we are having is the reply of that. And this has happened a number of times. And many other devotees have said that. And I hope you have also at some point realized it as well. So to understand, to enable for us to do that kind of worship, where we can have very personal and individual relationship with Krishna, where we are not going to ask anything, but we are going to, we will be full of gratitude towards Krishna, what Krishna has given to us, rather than complaining what we think we need, but we don't have. Because what Krishna says, that I protect what my devotees need, not that what they want. So Krishna always takes care of those things. Hence, it's reassuring, very reassuring. And then avidya takes to the darkness, vidya to greater darkness. This is the vidya on the material things. If we have the knowledge about that, that's going to take us to the greater darkness. Like somebody I was speaking to who said, oh, I spend a lot of time understanding how the share market works. And when the COVID happened, then because of that knowledge, I made some good money. because I knew that market is going to crash, and I invested there and then invested there. I thought, okay, that's good. So what's going to happen now? Do you know what's going to happen in future? And he said, no, I don't have a crystal ball. I said, well, but you just said you have the knowledge. And then the person said, well, based on the knowledge, we can make the best guess what will happen in the market, but we cannot predict the future. So that's a very wise thing to say. I said, well, Prabhupada said many, so one of like Perfect Questions and Perfect Answers is a small book. That was actually the very first book I had read. And I didn't know Srila Prabhupada then. I was struck by the very straightforward answers which Prabhupada gave to the reporter who asked these questions. So one of those could be on this, that if we understand our Shastras, then we have the results. And we will see, we were discussing that last time, that what Shastra says and what our experience are, we can predict future. And it's a very clear vision which Shastras give and Acharyas explain. So Vidya gives one result and Avidya another result. So we need to understand that they all, whichever path we will take, so if we know about something, we will get a result. But if we don't know about something, we will get a result, good or bad. But then it says that Vidya and Avidya will go together, because it doesn't really matter how hardworking we are. We cannot have the Vidya, we cannot have the knowledge about all the things in the world, which means we will always have Avidya about something. Right? Now, the only thing is we need to make the conscious decision on the topics we want to get educated, on the topics we are happy to be ignorant. It could be Bollywood, it could be Netflix series, it could be some soaps, some serials, it could be some sports, it could be various things. Maybe if we will save our time from there, we have time for Srila Prabhupada's books. It says we should not leave a single day without reading at least something from Srila Prabhupada or Bhagavatam. We recently started Bhagavatam because my mother-in-law is here. In the morning, she does Ramayan part. So I said, in the evening, how about when I finish the office and we do the puja, we will, around the same time, we will do a little bit of Bhagavatam. And she said, yes, yeah, let's do it. So we started that. And that's great that we discuss, we actually discuss every verse from the Canto 1 when we started. Of course, a lot of, because she has heard of Saptahik Bhagavatam, which happens in India, 7 days. So a lot of stories are known anyways. But what Srila Prabhupada has given is the teachings from those stories. So we know the story, but what we can learn and how we can implement those essence in our day-to-day life. And that's where the wisdom comes. So there's a difference in knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is the knowledge. Wisdom is how we could be educated so we are wise enough to make the decisions in our future. And that's what we're going to see today. So if we move to the, let's go to Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji, because we are looking at his commentary first. So the first two, we have seen this is the longest purport in Shri Īśopaniṣad. So Prabhupada has given lengthy purports to others, but this mantra 11 probably is the longest purport. And the first two aspects is on immortality. Immortality is impossible materially, but it's possible by Krishna's teaching. So we are talking and discussing material immortality versus possible spiritual immortality. And then Krishna comes to make us immortal. Then, of course, how is possible? It's possible by Krishna's teaching. Krishna came through. And when we were discussing Bhagavatam, then in the beginning, the first canto, first chapter, second chapter. So Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, second chapter, sages, Naimisharan sages, they ask 6 questions. And one of that question is this: then why did Krishna come? Why did Krishna come from a spiritual world to material world? What was the purpose? And then in chapter 3, the reply was given by Shukadev Goswamiji. And if we will see that. So it's a lot on mortality and immortality. We will see what the difference is. And we did discuss last time that some of so-called great personalities, of course, most of the time self-proclaimed great personalities like Ravan. And we discussed the story of Ravan, and then how Ravan did the meditation and got Brahmaji out. Brahmaji did give him the boon, and he declared himself as immortal because he thought nobody else will know or his secret. But of course, Vibhishan did, but Vibhishan told later, and that's the reason he died. And we learned from it that he obviously, his Ravan's father was a Brahmin, Ravan's mother was a demon. Hence, he had the opportunity to have both. And his brother Vibhishan decided to go towards father's side. And Ravan did himself had many Brahminical qualities, but of course his demonic qualities were overpowered the Brahminical, and that was the reason of his decline. And we did discuss that there are not only Vibhishan, if we think, was a demon himself, but because he decided to take his father's teaching, decided to become a devotee. And it's such a great example. These days we talk about inclusion and diversity at workplace. And many years back, Lord Rama did it. And in our scriptures, if we see Krishna, for example, Krishna ate Shabri's tasted bread. And somebody might think that, well, Shabri was low class. But Krishna didn't differentiate. Lord Rama didn't differentiate here that, oh, you are the brother of my, well, I wouldn't say the enemy, because Lord Rama didn't consider him as the enemy, but of course, Raman considered it. So it was a great inclusion. And this is what Krishna says, that my devotee is not from the birth, it's not from the caste, creed, but it is the state of mind, the consciousness. If we are thinking of Krishna, right? It could be that we are engaged in the services, but our mind is somewhere else. Or it could be that we are engaged in office work, but our mind is with Krishna. Or we are full of gratitude. Thank you, Krishna. You have given us the skills that we could do this job. So we could earn money, livelihood for our family. So we could give them the comfortable life. Hence, they will able to become a devotee. Then we moved on to the second example, which is, these examples are given by Srila Prabhupada. These examples are given by and discussed by Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji as well. That Hiranyakashipu, who is the twin brother of Hiranyaksha, and Hiranyaksha was killed by Vishnu. So Hiranyakashipu, who was a younger brother, he went and he did the meditation. He got Brahmaji out as well. And Brahmaji gave him the boom. Of course, he wanted to be immortal, just like Raman. And this is another thing, that this is demonic quality to become immortal. We know very well that everybody is going to die. And every time somebody asks this from Brahmaji, Brahmaji also says that I will also die, because I'm a placeholder. I'm just having this role of Brahma. And I have a starting, I have the end. And there was a point somebody said, oh, Brahma, you are eternal. And Brahma said, sorry, I need to correct you. Only Krishna is eternal. Krishna, and then this is where the Brahmaji put together the Samhita, Brahm Samhita, which comes Adir Anadir Govinda. Right? So this is where Brahmaji says that not me, it's Krishna who is Adir Anadir, just the one who doesn't have a beginning, the one who doesn't have an end, that Govinda. right? Tam Sambhavami. I'm the one who prays and worship to that Lord who doesn't have a beginning and end. But me, I do have a beginning, I do have an end. So if I'm not immortal, I cannot give you immortality. But of course, the demons then try to trick, like what Ravan did. Ravan said, "Give me the nectar in my belly button, so nobody will know, and then I will be safe." And this is what Hiranyakashipu did. He asked for many different conditions. But we know the story that Narsimhadev came down to save his devotee. And again, his devotee. Because Prahlad Maharaj was, if we say, in the demon's family, his father was Hiranyakashipu. But again, because he was in that state of consciousness where he was considered as a Bhakt Maharaj, Prahlad, and such a great character in Bhagavatam being explained about Prahlad Maharaj. And so again, no all inclusion and diversity, no discussion there. So it's all about our own consciousness. Now, I think we discussed so far. If we move forward, then of course, why demons think that ask for immortality? Because what they are looking for is happily ever after life. Because I'm going to be immortal. And I think Ajayji shared yesterday the example, the story, the legendary story. We don't know if it's true, but I have also heard it somewhere, not in the scriptures. Of course, it's for Alexander the Great, we say, from Greece. And I think it says Yuvan, Yavan. Yavan, so different countries have different names in different languages. And for example, Egypt is called Misr, and Greece is called Yavan. And in the scriptures, I've heard it mentions Yavan. And I don't know if Yavan was just for Greece or for all the foreign invaders. I'm not sure. But Yavan is definitely the word I found in one of the Puranas. And what it says basically, so sorry, the story is not there in the Purana, but it's there from somewhere. Ajayji has heard it, and I have certainly heard it before. That Alexander the Great, when he was going around in his late 20s and later in early 30s, he was going everywhere and getting his rule established. But very soon, it didn't take him long to realize. So of course, he had that demonic attitude to start with, that I will go, I will get everything, I will become the owner of everyone, and then I will rest in peace at the end. And there are many examples like this. He always had that spiritual quest, because even in Greece, he was in touch with, I don't remember the name of the sage, but there is a sage who is really renowned, considered as enlightened. Just like in Bhagavatam, in Canto 11, there is a mention of Avdhuta. Somewhere it says that that Avdhut could be the Dattatreya Muni. However, the Dattatreya Muni is not the name given in the shloka. Shloka says Avdut Brahman, and it could be the Dattatreya Muni. But Avdut Brahman is one of those who is just rolling in the dust and forgot everything, not concerned with the material, and he's just there enjoying himself in the eternal bliss, Satyachit Ananda. Like nobody could take anything from him because he doesn't have anything. Now, we have so many things and we are still not happy. And we try to get more, because we get more, we get highly attached to those things. Isn't it so strange? If we have one thing, we will get attached to one thing. If we have 10 things, we will get attached to 10 things. And we might be thinking, is there something wise to do? Of course, we do need few things. So like we do need the house, we do need the clothes, we do need the car if we need to travel out. But maybe that's where the need and the want comes in. And when we read the Shastras, stay in the Sadhu Sangha, we truly realize that what do we need and what is the want. So that desire. So remember that example, that analogy that somebody asked Srila Prabhupada, one thing if I have, and everything will fall in place, what that one thing could be. And Prabhupada said, desire. If you have the intense desire for Krishna, then everything else will fall into place. Everything else. And we have seen the example of Prahlad Maharaj. That Prahlad Maharaj, a little boy, who saved him? He just had that faith in Krishna in form of Vishnu. And Lord always saved him. And we have seen many more examples like this, where Mirabai ji, we see, Tukaram ji, we see, and Kunti Maharani's prayers are there. So just one thing, desire. But our desire could be material, could be spiritual. Of course, we need to transform our material desires into spiritual. Less material desires, more spiritual. And this is what we are discussing here, because the whole verse is about Vidya and Avidya. So we do need to have attachments, but we do need to have things. What Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, that you got to do the karma, the action. Even when I take the birth as a human, I cannot stay without doing karma. So we have to do the karma. What we need to be very cautious of, that we do nishkama karma rather than wish karma, like vikarma, which is like a wish, like a negative karma. We do positive karma. But before we do positive and negative, we do need to know. And this is what we're doing, getting that knowledge. And why Prabhupada is so much emphasizing on mortality and immortality, because this mentality that happily ever after is immortal. It's a demonic thinking that we will live immortal, happy after. And there are shastric evidence in it. So Bhagavad Gita chapter 8, verse 15. So if you read the verse, so in Sanskrit, in Devanagari, and then written in English, Mahamopetya punarjanma. And these are the two words, dukh alyam ashashvatam. And if you see here, this big, it seems like one big word in Sanskrit, but of course, the way we do what we call sandhi viched, that we break Sanskrit word into the root words. And if we break this, then there are two words there, which is dukhalyam and ashashvatam. And if we see the meaning of those, dukhalyam is the place of misery. Place of misery is dukhalyam. We know, we say, so alyam, the word alyam is like a residence. And dukhalyam is where dukha, sorrow, lives. And this is what Krishna says, that this place we are in, this is dukhalyam. So Krishna himself is saying that this material world is dukhalyam. And then the next word is ashashvatam. So shashvatam is eternal. Ashashvatam is which is not eternal, means which is temporary. Which is not eternal, which is temporary. And this is what we need to understand. Dukhalyam, ashashvatam. So there are three different types of miseries we know in the Shastra has been explained. So there is Adi Devik, Adi Bhautik, Adhyatmik. Adi Devik, Adi Bhautik, Adhyatmik. One from our body and mind. So our body is painful, body is okay, but mentally we are disturbed. Then we are okay, but maybe somebody we live with or somebody we work with, they are either upset, because of that we are upset, or they are making us upset, maybe a bad boss, irritating colleague or something. So we do get that as well. And the third one is natural disasters, which is we call Adi Devik. Devik is from demigods, because the demigods, they control everything on behalf of Krishna. So COVID could fall into that category, even though we say COVID is man-created. COVID is not like earthquake or tsunami, even though some people say that's also man-created, because we disturb the Mother Earth whole equilibrium, and that's the reason Mother Earth is giving this to us. And it could be, if you think about it, it could be one of those. However, whichever way we think, we know this is a Dukhalyam, and we know it's a Shashvatam. We have seen it. We were little, we have grown up, and we have seen others losing the family members, and unfortunately, we have also lost family members. And doesn't really matter how long we stay. At some point, either we will leave, or the relatives we are with, they will leave. So it's so evident that this place is Ashashvatam. And it's so evident that this place is Dukhalyam. Whether it's superstar Shah Rukh Khan, who had to get the trouble because of his son, and of course many other troubles. Not only him, anyone. So we might think that rich people, powerful people, they don't get it. Like our previous prime minister here, he's in so much trouble these days. Of course, based on his own karma. But what we are saying is that nobody could say, because I got so much money, I got so much power, I got so much fame. There was an example, somebody who had a Nobel Prize winner had a court case due on him. Now we give Nobel Prize is the word itself is noble, right? Somebody who is good, somebody who has done something good for the whole humanity, and that person did something bad later. And we thought, wow. And what does that tell us? If we observe, the whole knowledge is given that we need to understand what Krishna is saying in this. So not only that the Shastra is saying it, our own experience we understand that Krishna is saying, Mam upete punarjanma dukha alyama shashvatam. That dukha alyam. It's this place is dukha alyam. And then right at the end it says param gataha. So this is not the place to be. You better go back, and that's the place which is eternal. It's spiritual, right? So material immortality. Materially, we will never able to be here. And then there are some other verses as well. There is chapter 5 in Bhagavad Gita, verse 22, which says, Yehi samspasha jaboga dukkha yonya evate. So dukkha yonya evate. Adi antavante konteya nateshu ramate vadasa. Yehi samspasha jaboga dukkha yonya evate. Adi antavante konteya nateshu ramate vada. What does that say? That again in chapter 3 is karma yoga, chapter 4 is the transcendental knowledge, chapter 5 combines these together, that with that knowledge do the karma. So chapter 3 is only karma, chapter 4 is the knowledge, chapter 5 combined together. Now do the karma with the knowledge, and we are discussing knowledge here. So this is what Krishna is saying, that dukkha yona evata, this yoni, human yoni, the manushya yoni, is actually dukkha yoni, the whole yoni. So this place, this residence is dukhalyam, the yoni is dukkha yoni. So when you get the chance, 522, and then nateshu ramate vada. So konte, so Krishna says to Arjuna, please don't spend your time trying to collect things here. This place is just temporary. It's like when we go in the plane, we make ourselves comfortable, but we know that there's no point making us too comfortable here, right? Like what we do in our houses. We just organize everything, and we think that we are going to stay for that long. But we know that it's going to be our focus should be clear. And what is, rather than material, it should be spiritual, because spiritually we could be mortal, but materially we cannot be mortal. And then there is another verse, chapter 9, verse 33, which says, Anityam. Anityam is so again eternal, and something which is not eternal. Asukham lokam. Anityam asukham lokam. Like again, sukha is happy. Asukham is which is not happy. So like it says, ashashvatam, shashvatam eternal, ashashvatam not eternal. So we need to understand there's so many verses in Bhagavad Gita itself, and of course in Bhagavatam many stories. The story of Yayati, who says, Yayati and Pururva. So I think these are the correct names. Yayati was a father, and if you haven't heard this story, this is a great story from Bhagavatam. There are many so nice, full of wisdom stories in Bhagavatam. So cherishable. Most of the stories are of devotees, and so many learnings for our day-to-day life. Yayati got married to Devyani, who is the daughter of Shukracharya, who is the spiritual master of demons. And then, oh, there is another story how he got married, but he got married there, and for some reason he cheated on his wife. And then Shukracharya ji got upset. Shukracharya ji cursed him and said, because you cheated, because of your youth, now you will not be youthful anymore. You will become old. Right now, in your youthful age, you will become old. And remember, those days, people used to live like 10,000 years. So he had like, let's say out of 10,000 years, we say quarter, like 250 years of youth. And maybe he spent 100, and then rest of 150 years of youth was still left. And then he was thinking, oh my goodness me, what shall I do? And then he said to Shukracharya, think of it. It's your daughter. I'm your daughter's husband. You have taken 150 years of youth. Then if I don't have youth, then your daughter will not enjoy. And then he thought about it. Shukracharya said, okay, I've given my curse. You cannot revert it back. And this is a great way of understanding, another learning for devotees, that the results of the karma could never be reverted back. There are so many examples, so many sages, they have cursed so many people, including devotees. So Chatur Kumar cursed the Jay and Vijay. They could not revert it back. And they were devotees. They were right there with Vishnu all the time. But they could not. And Chatur Kumar, that was the only incident in the whole Bhagavatam. Then when Chatur Kumar got upset, when Vishnu came, he said, don't you worry. You got upset because of me. I wanted you to get upset and do this curse. So it's all my Leela. So don't you upset that how you became, because you are known for your serenity, because they always been calm and composed. But the story goes in that what we need to understand, that whatever is happening with us, we need to understand is the karma, results of our own karma. So we should never go to Krishna and say, please take this away. We got to face it. We got to. What we could do, though, that we can postpone it. And there are examples for it. That I'm not ready now. Could you give me this result maybe 2 years later? But that will come back. And when it will come back 2 years later, it could be worse than what it is now. We might think it's better if we will get it 2 years later, but it's like interest on principle, because that will wait for 2 years, which means it will get a bit bigger. And those examples are there in Shastras. But when the curse was given, Hare Krishna, Anil Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So yeah, sorry. So in this context, I just felt like asking a question. I think yeah, whatever we do definitely comes back in form of karma, but I think there is just wanted to confirm if there is an exception to it when Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Twan Saurabh Ape Bhiyo Mokshechhamin Ashacha. So in that situation, when Krishna is trying to say that in Bhagavad Gita, does that mean that we still get the karma back, but the effects of it are are minimized?
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji. Great question. And that understanding is absolutely correct. So we will still get the results, but those results are not going to deviate us from our dharma, from our bhakti. And that's what Krishna will do. So the results will still come.
Yeah.
But results will not affect us.
Right.
It will minimize. It's not going to take like a lot of devotees. You will see they're suffering. They're suffering, but they're still happy. And I give you a great example. One of the devotees at Manor, probably one of the oldest devotee, and he's always going around. Now I think temple is relieving him from the services because he is very old and he struggles walking. But every time, without any exception, every time I've met him, he's full of gratitude, full of gratitude. And in fact, he has said to me that I'm just so happy that I'm burning all my karmas through this old age.
Right.
Yes. And that's what pure devotees will never ask Krishna that don't give me the results of my, because devotees know so well that if the seed is there, we have watered the seed, if the tree is out, if the fruits are out, you cannot change the fruits. What you could do is that fruit will be bitter. If it's a lemon instead of mango, the fruit will be bitter. The only thing we can do is that Krishna, when we will eat that bitter food, please don't let our devotion steer down. So our devotion, our bhakti should always be there. And
Yeah, Prabhuji, so sorry, I just wanted to extend this query a little bit.
please.
What happens sometimes is that, in the path of non-devotion, you often commit some bad karmas.
Yeah.
Is, for example, people sometimes have non-vegetarian food, which when we understand is not the way to go, we eventually give up when we take up the path of spirituality. Then when you become a devotee, the only relief that comes to you when you think about it in the past, that knowingly or unknowingly you've done some bad karma, the only relief that comes to you is probably when you think about the fact that even the slightest of the advancement that you do in your spiritual life saves you from the greatest dangers. So it is often said that for people who engage too much into meat eating and stuff like that, they get in the next life they get an appropriate body so that they can relish meat eating. But if you have done meat eating knowingly or unknowingly in the past, does that mean that still you will get some kind of a body in your does that mean that will still hold true? This principle will still hold true?
Yes.
Or does it mean, does the example that Krishna gives us, that even with the slightest advancement in the path of spirituality or bhakti will save you from the greatest dangers, does that then nullify that, or you still have to, even if you unknowingly you've done those offenses, you still have to suffer for it?
Yes. So two examples, Prabhuji. One is the first example from Bhagavatam, where, for example, Bharat, King Bharat, he was so close to the enlightenment, but he got attached to a deer, and then he left his body. Next birth, he became deer, but even in his deer body, he was almost enlightened because he remembered everything from the past. And that's what happens. That was the result of his attachment, but because of his spirituality, that deer birth did not become any obstacle in his spirituality, because next birth he was a Bharat and he was an enlightened being. So
Yeah.
if you take another example, it will be where, yes, like what Srila Prabhupada said, if you eat non-veg, then in the next birth, and there are scriptures reference there, that if you eat non-veg, at some point that non-veg, whatever it is, will eat you, which means you will also have to take the animal birth. But that animal birth could be very small. That animal birth could be of 5 years of dog or cat in a very good family. It could be like few hours of a mosquito, and it could be in a temple. And you might so yes, you will get that bird if we follow that scriptural reference. You will get that bird, but that bird is not going to become the obstacle in your spiritual path. You will have it, and that's it. It's like a tick in the box. Because you did that, you got it, and now you're back on your spiritual path. Exactly same which happened in Bharat, Jad Bharat's case. So he was a King Bharat, he was a dear Bharat, and he was a Jad Bharat. Yes, but on the path of spirituality, success is guaranteed, irrespective of what you did in the past, because all the results will come back, but those results will not affect you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, Prabhuji. Yeah, that was very satisfactorily answered, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Thank
you. Yes. Hare Krishna. And Mataji had hand on. If Mataji would like to add something, please.
Yes, it's similar to what Prabhuji asked, that but in Gita it says that, or not Gita, but our scriptures, that when you do devotional service, the karmas can be modified. So I think that's what you explained. It's modified, that you'll still suffer, but it will not be like as if somebody who is not on that path, so he will suffer more, and like somebody who has taken the path, they will suffer less, like you say, even like a mosquito in the temple. So that answered my question. Thank you. Very good explanation.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. And yes, even now, if we see, I mean, I can take the example of Guru Maharaj. Guru Maharaj is suffering on his bodily platform. And there are some other seniors like Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji. He got polio. Well, when he was a child, his parents didn't take him for very small vaccination. And that's why he said it was so small vaccination, few injections, but still I got it. And because parents didn't do it. And he said, my parents loved me, but because of some reason, they didn't bother, or something happened, and I got polio, and I have to live with my rest of my life with the polio. However, look at the service he's doing. Great service, great service. He still travels. And during COVID, when he was not traveling, so many podcasts he has done, so many great Shastric courses he has developed, such a great service. So he's still, if in case he did something in the past, he still got the results of those bad karmas, but those bad karmas are not restricting him to do his devotional service. And these great devotees, they are like living examples for us to be motivated that let's forget the past and let's focus on our spiritual sadhana now, because only through sadhana we will be able to reach to the next level of seva, where we could do devotional service. Because as Srila Prabhupada said, that Krishna consciousness is not armchair religion. It's not where we just sit and we give the lectures like many others he said do. We say things, we should do it, and then we do those things because we are in that movement of serving others. So thank you so much for that question, and thank you so much, Mataji, for adding that. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji, as well.
Thank you. Very great question, yes, Prabhuji. Yes. Anil Prabhu.
Yes.
Very nice.
Yeah. Very bold. Great. So we got 10:30, and that's where we are. We will continue from here, and then we will see what Srila Prabhupada has said about a little bit about deity worship, and a bit more getting into the purpose, which will enlighten us. So I wish you all a very happy Krishna conscious week. Look forward to see you next week, and we will discuss more. With that, thank you for your association. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gurudev Maharaj ki jai. Jai Jai Shri Radhe Shyam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Hare.